Let's talk about government contracting, and I want to really focus on the GSA scheduled pricing. So basically, you have a lot of models, a lot of information that floats around on the internet about GSA pricing. And to this conversation, I want to clarify all that information for you. Let's first talk about what GSA scheduled pricing is and what it's not, okay? So if you think about GSA scheduled pricing, this is actually the predetermined ceiling prices, okay? So because you have a floor prices and ceiling prices that government agencies can pay for goods and services offered through the GSA mass program, okay? And this pricing structure actually is pretty cool because it ensures that federal buyers receive competitive rates and that vendors are compensated fairly for their offerings. So because when you have federal contracting or even state contracting, you are talking about competitive bidding, but you also have a sole source contracts, right? But in any scenario, you want to make sure that it is a win-win, I would say, circumstance for federal agencies, state agencies, but also vendors. So by adhering to a GSA pricing guidelines, you can simplify the contracting process and increase your chances of winning government contracts if you are a small business listening to me right now. So, why is GSA scheduled pricing important? Well, the thing is that if you want to work with the government, you got to really understand the GSA pricing policies. Okay, so you have policies and regulations. Those are pretty cool because they serve as a framework, as a foundation, as a canvas. Okay, as a canvas for establishing fair and transparent pricing, allowing your company and other companies to develop competitive strategies and actually navigate the complex procurement landscape because federal procurement, state procurement can be complex. Okay, so by familiarizing yourself with the GSA schedule pricing, you can better align your offerings with government requirements, ultimately increasing your chances of securing lucrative contracts. Okay, so there are a lot of benefits. So you have streamlined procurement process for government agencies, competitive and fair pricing for government buyers, increased chances of winning government contracts, and simplified compliance with GSA pricing regulations. On the flip side, if you actually misunderstand that schedule, you have the inability to secure government contracts due to non-compliance and non-competitive pricing, potential penalties for non-compliance with GSA pricing policies, missed opportunities to leverage GSA schedule discounts and incentive, and you also have damaged reputation and credibility with government customers. So you have to really understand when you think about GSA pricing policies and regulations, this is basically a whole body of literature, legal and regulatory literature that really guides you through the government contracting process, okay, that gives you information about what to do and what not to do, how to price and how not to price, okay. And so you want to really understand that you have to familiarize yourself with the GSA mass program, the multiple award schedule program. And this policies, the GSA pricing policies outline the requirements for establishing competitive pricing, conducting comprehensive market research, and also negotiating discounts effectively. The thing is that the government is always making sure that they're getting the fair, like the most fair price, the fairest price. Okay, so you want to familiarize yourself with the relevant regulations, such as the FAR. So FAR is Federal Acquisition Regulation, but also the GSAR, the General Services Administration Acquisition Regulations. Those two regulation, or let's say regulatory bodies, are essential for ensuring compliance and securing favorable contract terms when pursuing government contracts. And that's what you want. Bottom line is you want to win. If you actually bid on a government contract, you want to win, right? So you can actually, if you understand those policies, you can strategize and position yourself to win lucrative government deals at the best possible rates. So what you want to do here is that you want to thoroughly review the FAR and GSR requirements for GSA schedule pricing and discounting. You also want to conduct comprehensive market research to determine the prevailing government contract rates for your products or services. You want to develop a pricing strategy that actually aligns with the GSA's guidelines for establishing most favored customer pricing. That's what you want. You want to be the most favored customer when it comes to pricing and other processes as well. Be prepared to negotiate discounts based on volume, prompt payment, or other factors that may qualify for reduced rates. And you want to maintain detailed records and documentation to support your pricing approach and any proposed discounts. So I'm showing you on the screen here three three important regulations and what the key requirements are. So when I talk about competitive pricing strategies for government contracts, you need to really understand that the bottom line here is that you want to be strategic. You can't just do things randomly. When you deal with the government, when you interact with the government through an agency or through regulators or auditors, you gotta have a strategy. Okay, so you want to really do market research. You want to conduct market research to do a lot of things. For example, you want to gather pricing intelligence, right? So you want to know how much your rivals are charging. You want to know how much government agencies are willing to pay, and you want to know how much you are able to actually, how far, like how high you can set your prices. Because the bottom line is you want to align your own pricing with the market standards so that you can be competitive while maintaining profitability, right? Because you can't just say, okay, I want to bid, I want to be part of this program, but you're losing money. So you want to also leverage competition to secure discounts. Okay, so when multiple contractors are vying for the same government contract, they may be motivated to offer better pricing to increase their chances of winning the bid. By understanding the competitive dynamics and negotiating effectively, you can often secure most favorable pricing terms. Okay, so that's really important. So I'm showing you a recap here in terms of what you need to do in terms of the GSA schedule pricing model. So I'm showing you on the screen here, basically the pricing strategy, the key considerations, and the potential benefits. So you have competitive pricing, and you also have leveraging competition. So things you have to do to make sure that you win. And this is important from a flexibility point of view, if you really think about it. Okay. So potential benefits include, like for leveraging competition, you are strengthening bargaining positions, securing discounts, and gaining actually through the process a competitive edge. So let's talk about negotiating GSA prices because if you're all listening to me, you probably have a small business or an established business or mid-sized or large enterprise, and you just want to make sure if you are participating in federal contract or even state government contracts, you are actually like you are meeting fair prices. Okay, you're not just this is not going to be a loss proposition for you. So you have to understand that negotiations are everywhere when it comes to government contracts. Be ready to negotiate. Okay, be ready to actually put your best foot forward and explain why you are setting a specific price. If you say I'm charging $1,000 or $100,000 for this for this contract, be ready to explain to government auditors, to procurement officers, why you're charging that much, okay? And you want to prepare for negotiations in the sense that you got to really see what the market is like, what are the key market trends? What are your competitors actually offering? And most importantly, what is your value added? Like, what is your premium? If you are charging, let's say, 20% or 10% more than your next competitors, what is the value that you are actually adding? Because see, the government is willing to pay for your price, is willing to pay your price, but you got to justify why they have to pay you that much, okay, and not lower. Because if you're negotiating a price, you got to put your best arguments. You have to explain why the rationale for your price setting, and the government will actually come back and really say, no, this is too much, blah 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 blah. Okay, it's part of the normal process, negotiation process. So when you think about communication strategies, just make sure that you have active listening, concise articulation of your value proposition, and also think about a win-win solution. think about a collaborative approach. Okay, you want to put yourself in the government procurement officer's shoes. See things from their point of view. Okay, you want because see if you see things from their point of view, you can anticipate and by the way address potential objections, and you also can be prepared better to provide detailed justification for your proposed pricing. So maintaining a professional and solution-oriented demeanor throughout the negotiations can help build trust and foster a constructive dialogue, and this is really important. So when you think about GSA schedule pricing, you really need to understand that basically it is actually a process that's always dynamic. It changes all the time based on the government, I would say, directives, but also market trends. Okay, and one of the key aspects of GSA schedule pricing is what they call the NTE ceiling. So the not to exceed ceiling, NTE. And this ceiling is really important, really, really important across the board in all industries because it represents the maximum price a vendor can charge for a specific product or service under the contract. So you got to really ask yourself, is that maximum price, like that maximum number, really fit into my business model? Because I mean, am I even breaking even with that maximum number? Because if the government is telling you this is the maximum we're willing to pay, and that maximum is not helping you break even, that's a lost proposition for you, right? So this is up to you to see what works for your specific case. Now, there are some savvy contractors who actually know that the true value lies in negotiating discounts below this NTE ceiling. So the NTE ceiling acts as a safeguard for federal agencies, ensuring that they receive competitive pricing. Contractors must be diligent in their market research to identify opportunities for price reductions and discounts, and effective communication and negotiation strategies are crucial, right? In order to secure the best possible pricing for government regulations. The thing is that you have to understand, at the end of the day, you have to really see what works in your specific sector and the specific agency you are dealing with, okay? So I'm just showing you on the screen here a quick table that explains this further, like the key aspects of GSA schedule pricing, the not to exceed ceiling, the possibility to negotiate discounts, but also actually, I would say, increase your competitive advantage by doing market research, okay, and also employing some competitive strategies. So at the end of the day, you got to really think about striking the right balance, right? Because like I said, it's all about making sure that you as a business, you are actually surviving in this economy, okay? So what you want to do here is that for you to really get the government, at least offer the government the best price, you have to work on your pricing model. You have to work on your cost model, your internal cost model, okay? So, and that means what? It means you need to really research and find the best vendors. You need to negotiate. You need to negotiate with them to get the best prices. Because if you can get the best prices, you can actually offer the government in return a lower price too, right? Because if your pricing model is already high, you can't offer the government a high like a low amount. So you got to really focus on that. You also want to make sure that you are able to negotiate with the government on a consistent basis. This is not just a one-time thing. So you want to really cultivate relationships with procurement officers, like so that when it comes time to negotiate your contract, they have an idea. So what I just showed you, I'm just showing you a similar table on the screen here. So a table that will let you know more about striking the right balance, okay, in terms of maximizing value. So if you want to maximize value, you can leverage discounts, you can identify cost-saving opportunities, you can negotiate fair and reasonable prices. And when you actually do all those three things, you have the possibility to actually get in a better position. For example, when you negotiate fair and reasonable prices, you are able to mutually benefit all the parties involved, and this can help you in the long run because If all parties realize that you have their best interest at heart, then they are able to do everything that you do in a very consistent manner. So one thing you need to understand when you think about federal contract pricing, there are there are lots of hourly rates and fixed prices, okay? But everything depends on your specific niche and the specific work that you actually do, okay? So when it comes to contract pricing, you can either consider hourly rates or fixed prices. And so really the thing is that if you choose hourly rates, you have some structure to actually adhere to, okay? And this hourly rate structure is actually good for professional services. So, as a contractor, you typically provide your hourly rates for different labor categories, which are then evaluated and negotiated with the government agency. So, factors such as the complexity of the work, the experience level of the personnel, and market rates all contribute to the determination of those hourly rates. That's kind of cool. And you can also adjust your labor mix and allocation of hours as the project evolves, allowing for better responsiveness to changing requirements. So that's kind of cool. Also, so that's for hourly rates. What about fixed pricing models? So fixed pricing models provide a predetermined lump sum cost for the delivery of a product or service, and that's actually good if you are thinking about delivery of services and supplies. Okay, so this approach is often used for the procurement of supplies or for well-defined services with a clear scope of work. So those services cannot be random. They have to be clear. They have to be specific. So fixed pricing can offer the government agency more budget certainty and can incentivize contractors to optimize their processes and efficiency. So this is really good from a flexibility point of view. At the end of the day, it's all about finding a win-win solution for yourself, for your business, but also for the government. Okay, and you also need to you can also seek discounts. Okay, you can negotiate discounts because seeking discounts allows you to secure favorable pricing in government contracts. And so, as a business, you can explore opportunities to request discounts in various scenarios, such as when you have found let's say, a lower pricing elsewhere. When you when you are establishing, sorry about that. So when you're establishing a blanket purchase agreement, for instance, this is something that's really that you can really think about. Or when the order exceeds the simplified acquisition threshold. So this is kind of cool from a flexibility point of view. So as closure into this conversation, I spoke to you about GSA scheduled pricing. I'll give you all the info you need to really know about the GSA scheduled pricing. Thank you so much. God bless you. I will see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.